Guy, so the Indiana Fever dropped this video out. Secure your tickets today. Can't wait to see you at the season opener. I was like, season opener? Is that game?
Fever fans, welcome back to Gamebridge. We're super excited to have you guys here. We're going to be working hard. We're going to have a lot of fun. So continue to show up and show out.
We're going to be healthy this season, so we're going to have a complete complement of a roster. We're going to be a fun team.
The Indiana Fever are just 5 days away from their season opener, yet a surprising number of seats are still sitting empty. Across nearly every section of the arena, tickets remain available. Some areas still have more than 60 seats left, while others aren't far behind. And in the middle of all this, the Fever recently dropped a promotional video encouraging fans to grab tickets. But Caitlin Clark, the biggest draw on the roster, doesn't even show up until nearly 40 seconds into the ad. That's what makes this situation feel so strange. This is the same organization that had tickets disappearing almost instantly just 2 seasons ago. Sellouts felt automatic. The hype was overwhelming. So now the obvious question is, how did things shift this dramatically?
She's not in this video as one of the personalities?
TC, we're going to bring out with the new additions to that are connected.
Complement of a roster. We're going to be a fun team.
Welcome back to Gamebridge.
Shut up. So, anyway, they released this video. This came out this morning. There hadn't been a ton of feedback yet, a ton of response, but it did get me curious, right? And so I click on the link. I'm like, they're peddling this for the season opener 5 days away? This game's not.
When your team has Caitlin Clark, the biggest attraction women's basketball has ever seen, the player who helped push the WNBA into a completely different level of mainstream attention, and you still can't sell out a season opener less than a week before tip-off, people are going to start asking serious questions, because right now, thousands of seats are still available throughout the arena, and naturally, fans are beginning to wonder if the excitement and momentum Clark brought to Indiana has been damaged by decisions coming from the front office and coaching staff. Think about where this situation stands at the moment. The Fever opener is only 5.5 days away. Caitlin Clark is set to return after injuries caused her to miss most of last season. On paper, this should feel like a massive event for the franchise. This should be one of those nights where demand explodes. Fans should be scrambling to get in the building. Tickets should have disappeared months ago. Resale prices should be climbing through the roof. That's normally what happens when a franchise has a once-in-a-generation superstar leading the team.
At home, Caitlin Clark returns. Don't think we didn't notice this too.
Instead of a packed out arena with tickets impossible to find, the Fever are now heavily promoting the game just to drive more sales. And once you actually check the ticket map for yourself, the situation stands out immediately. There aren't just scattered single seats left over. Entire sections still have large blocks of tickets available. Some sections still show more than 40 seats open. Others are sitting above 50. One area reportedly still has nearly 70 tickets remaining on its own. Add it all together, and you're looking at thousands of unsold seats with only 5 days left before opening night. For a team built around Caitlin Clark, that's a surprising position to be in.
Look at this. There is one section outside of, I don't know what these are right here, but every section of this arena still has tickets left for the opener. And in some case, I mean, look at that, 46 tickets, 47 tickets, 52 tickets, 67 tickets, 48 tickets. There's basically tickets all over the place. That's what you would like to refer to as thousands of tickets are still left with 5 days left? Are you?
Let's put this into perspective for a second. Back in 2024, the conversation around the WNBA looked completely different. A lot of teams struggled to fill arenas, and meanwhile, the Indiana Fever became the exact opposite of that problem. Once Caitlin Clark arrived, tickets disappeared almost instantly. Every game felt like an event. The crowds were loud, the atmosphere felt electric, and getting into the building became nearly impossible. That momentum carried into 2025 before Clark Clark's injury issues slowed things down, the demand was still there. Sellouts felt automatic, because that's what happens when a franchise has a true superstar driving attention. Now fast forward to today, same organization, same player, completely different situation. So the obvious question becomes, how does a team go from non-stop sellouts to still pushing tickets less than a week before opening night? A growing number of fans believe the answer starts with how the organization has handled the excitement Caitlin Clark originally brought to the franchise. And honestly, the Fever's latest promotional campaign only added more fuel to that discussion. The team recently released a hype video for the season opener titled "Secure Your Tickets Today. Can't wait to see you at the season opener." Naturally, most people clicked expecting Clark to be front and center. She's the face of the franchise, the league's biggest draw, and the player most fans are paying to see. But that's not what happened. The video opens with players talking about the upcoming season, playing faster, getting healthy, and adjusting to roster changes. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark doesn't appear until nearly 40 seconds into the promo, and that decision caught fans off guard, because whether people like it or not, Clark is the centerpiece of the Fever brand right now. Leaving her mostly absent from a ticket-selling campaign feels strange to a lot of supporters. Imagine the Lakers during Kobe Bryant's prime releasing a major promotional ad and barely featuring Kobe, or the Bulls during the Michael Jordan era building hype content without making Jordan the focus. That's why some fans are reacting so strongly to this. And the conversation didn't stop with the video. The Fever also rolled out promotional graphics for the opener that highlighted players like Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell instead of Clark. Both are respected players and important contributors, but many fans still expected Caitlin to be the central image tied to ticket promotion. To some supporters, this doesn't feel like a one-time decision. They see it as part of a larger pattern. Over the last several months, fans have increasingly criticized the Fever's social media direction, arguing that the content no longer leans into Clark's star power the same way it once did. And now, with engagement cooling off and ticket sales becoming a talking point, more people are beginning to connect those dots.
We are 3 days away from the regular season. Season tickets for the Indiana Felines still available. Last year, their season tickets were sold out by March. To make matters worse, their game this weekend against the Dallas Wankers, which is supposedly the biggest game of the weekend in pretend basketball, damn near the entire arena is available for their game against the Wankers. Check it out for yourself.
Want to know why so many seats are still open? A big part of it may come down to trust. Fans watched everything that unfolded last season, especially the way the organization handled communication surrounding Caitlin Clark's injury situation. For months, updates felt unclear and constantly changing. At first, it was described as day-to-day. Then fans were told she could return in August. August passed. After that, the conversation shifted again toward a possible comeback before the playoffs. Then the postseason came and went without any real clarity. Instead of firm answers, supporters felt like they were getting vague timelines and carefully worded statements that kept moving further down the road. That frustration only grew once speculation started circulating that Clark may have been healthy enough to return earlier, but was being held out with a longer-term focus on this season. Whether those rumors were true or not, the fact that fans even believed them shows how much confidence in the organization had started to erode. Because supporters want transparency, especially when it involves the biggest star on the team. They want straightforward communication. They want honesty about what's happening with the player they're emotionally invested in and paying to watch.
I took this screenshot around 10 o'clock this morning. Now, when I was looking at this last night, they were trying to convince me that thousands of people were buying tickets. There's over 3,000 people looking at tickets right now. You better hurry. Tickets for this game are hot, hot, hot. I guess 3,000 people decided to play golf on Saturday afternoon or play with themselves, because outside of section 202, there are tickets available in every section of the arena.
And then there's the Stephanie White conversation, which has become another major point of frustration for a lot of Fever fans. Throughout the preseason, people have listened to White discuss different offensive ideas. More off-ball movement for Caitlin Clark, more responsibility flowing through Aaliyah Boston, more emphasis on balance within the system, even moments where Clark is being used as a screener instead of constantly controlling the offense. The problem is that many fans didn't buy into the Fever because they wanted to watch Caitlin Clark blend quietly into the background of a system. They bought in because they wanted to see her be the system. They want the ball in her hands. They want the deep threes, the impossible passes, the fast pace, the chaos she creates for defenses. That's the version of Clark that turned Indiana into must-watch basketball. So when fans hear talk about reducing her on-ball role, or they watch stretches of preseason games where she's spending more time away from the action, some start wondering whether the team is moving away from the exact formula that made people fall in love with the Fever in the first place. And people are noticing. Even during the preseason matchup against the New York Liberty, cameras caught visible empty seats throughout the arena. Not just isolated spots either. Multiple areas across the building looked noticeably open from the very beginning of the game. For a home game featuring Caitlin Clark, that stands out immediately, because not long ago that kind of thing felt unthinkable. In 2024 and early 2025, Fever tickets vanished almost instantly. Fans had to rush online the moment sales opened if they wanted any chance of getting in. Resale prices exploded. Every game felt like a major event. That's the level of demand Clark created, which is why the current situation feels so jarring to a lot of people. The Fever still have the same superstar, but the energy surrounding the organization doesn't feel nearly as strong, and many fans believe that decline didn't happen by accident. They point to inconsistent communication from the front office, confusing messaging surrounding Clark's injury recovery, questionable promotional choices, and a social media strategy that some believe no longer fully embraces the franchise's biggest star. Even the team's marketing decisions have become part of the conversation. Fans notice Clark barely appearing in the season opener promo video, while graphics focus more heavily on players like Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell. Both are respected veterans and valuable contributors, but many supporters expected Clark to be the clear centerpiece of the campaign. To critics, it feels like the organization is strangely hesitant to lean fully into the player responsible for the Fever's explosion in popularity. And from a business standpoint, that's why this has become such a huge talking point. The WNBA has never seen attention quite like the attention Caitlin Clark brought into the league. Ratings surged, ticket prices surged, national interest surged. She became one of the biggest attractions in all of basketball. So for Indiana to still have thousands of unsold seats ahead of her return after missing most of last season feels almost impossible on paper. That's why fans are reacting so strongly. A lot of people feel the Fever were handed the perfect situation. A generational superstar, national attention, sold out crowds, momentum everywhere, and somehow allowed that momentum to cool off within a year. And whether that criticism is completely fair or not, the ticket situation is becoming the clearest symbol of fan frustration, because ticket sales reflect excitement, they reflect trust, they reflect belief in the direction of the team. Right now, many supporters simply don't feel the same level of confidence they once did. Some fans will argue the arena will still eventually sell out, and maybe it will, but for many critics that misses the larger point entirely. The expectation was that this game would have been impossible to get into months ago. Instead, people are still talking about large numbers of available seats less than a week before opening night, and that alone says a lot about where the Indiana Fever currently stand in the eyes of their fan base.